Meeting started. So welcome to councillors, officers and members of the public to the meeting of the Policy Development Committee. Please switch your mobile phones to silent. Now please ask those attending virtually to switch off your microphone to avoid any disruption during the meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available in due course on the council's YouTube channel. And therefore do not refer to each other by first names. Item 1, apologies please, Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. I have apologies from councillors Petrinos, Bishop and Turton.
Thank you. Item 2, to approve the correct record of the minutes of the meetings held on the 29th of February and 7th of March. Members? Anyone happy to move? Did you want?
Happy to propose.
Thank you. Is that first, Councillor Bushnell? Yes. Is that right to do them? Yeah, no, thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? In favour?
Do I understand the March did I come? Can't remember that thing level.
Which one?
The March one.
Are you showing this? Are you showing this?
I thought I said this one sometime.
Yeah, I think you missed it, not sure.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Item 3, I was just going to mention the MP's letter in response to our question about the street marshals members. You've all had a copy of that?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think there's anything comment to make. Just note the content. Okay. Thank you. Item 4, any declarations of interest, please?
I've received none, Chair.
Item 6, to agree the agenda between Part A and Part B, and there is no Part B tonight. So we'll move on to item 6, which is actions and outcomes from the special meeting of the committee held on the 29th of February. So, Parish, yeah. Kelly, you have sent out, oh no, that was from the last meeting. I'm just trying to find my other sheet. Yeah.
It's attached. That's from me.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That's right.
And also the minutes of the 7th of
Yes.
March, where you set out your aspirations for this meeting.
Yes. So we have on page 27 the actions and outcomes from the special meeting of the committee held on the 29th of February. Would you like to go through them individually, members, just as we, if I go to each bullet point and if you want to comment on those. So the first one, as you see, is that a meeting be organised with members from Torridge District Council to discuss their concerns regarding water quality. I think, Adam, you had something to say about that in your email to me earlier, didn't you?
Yes, we are looking. Yes, Chair. We are looking to arrange some meetings with Torridge and sort of leadership team to look at sort of working together. I mean, in general, we can take that and make a specific meeting regarding water quality if it's the wish of the committee, and again, we can open that up to all the members as well.
I think that was our wish, wasn't it, to have a special one with Torridge on that subject.
Yeah,
Was it not?
A specific meeting, yeah.
Yes.
So I think in the context that they are doing something similar and that many of those representatives came to their meeting. And they were keen to work together.
I did extend the offer at the time.
I explained that at the time and it didn't get through to them. So the councillors were surprised. They asked why they hadn't formally been invited. To which I said you had formally been
Yes.
invited.
Well, I
They went-
saw copies. Yeah.
Which they said they hadn't been. That is a bit odd.
Definitely went through.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I've seen copies of that. They definitely were invited.
And so they were already working on it independently. Didn't want to partake.
Well,
That's what I was told.
How do we make sure that it doesn't happen on this occasion if we extend an invitation?
Wait,
Do we,
all I can do is send it to my counterparts at Torridge Council, and it's for them to escalate it to their chair, in the same way that I would with our chair.
okay,
So it's an admin procedure at Torridge Council that will need to be, make sure they actually pass the message on. If that's not happened, in the same way it would happen if it wasn't done here, the clerk to the meeting should contact the chair with anything like that.
Okay.
And I was told that they've been spoken to. So.
can we extend the invitation directly to the chair as well? Because they'll be on the
I need
website.
to know who that is, because I don't know who their chair is.
Presumably it'll be on their website the same way it is for us.
You know where it's from?
I'm not aware of who that is, but I said we're having sort of, yeah, meetings with their leader, so we can extend it for that way as well.
Okay,
That would be helpful, I think. Yeah, okay, yeah. So that'll be in the near future. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just clarify, the meeting you would like to hold? It's in terms of that meeting with Torridge, what, are you expecting external people to be there again, or is this just the members to discuss? Because we don't want to do.
But, have they, sorry, have they had a similar public meeting to ours? I think they have, haven't they?
they've got a committee as well, that
Yeah.
is already working on it.
So I think probably if it was, not to open it out to the public, but we've got quite a lot of stuff from our public meeting, they presumably have got there. So it's just a matter of comparing notes and looking at how we can
Will you be happy?
work on joint
Just
policies.
Just members, I would
What I was
say, yeah.
concerned about. You don't want
Yeah.
No,
otherwise-
we're saying just members, and then I think
Yeah.
let's try and organise a meeting, and then we'll
Yeah.
establish an agenda once we've got a meeting.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Councillor
Yeah, I don't know whether it's the right time to say, but one of the reasons sort of I've come along is that at the meeting, there wasn't anyone from planning. We were told that the planning department do talk sort of quarterly, I think, to South West Water, but Torridge don't. Sorry?
Yeah, we had a joint meeting the next day.
Can you do it,
So, sorry, so we can,
sorry, so we can hear everything?
so I beg your pardon. Yeah, we did have a joint meeting the next day, didn't we?
Yeah.
With Torridge down at,
Yeah, but there was no planners there.
yeah, it was planning, it was a planning living meeting.
But there is no case officers or anyone from the planning department there
Yeah, then
to answer
probably
questions.
policy.
It's a next point. It's one of the next points, isn't it? Is that we have a point to request, I think initially a report presentation. And from what I saw, we've already got members of the planning team that's going to join the main meeting.
May,
So
and a representative from South West Water, because you get to respond to me.
So
So there'll be
that's
two
great.
people, there'll be
So-
two people.
we've got
here.
that next time.
But we can, I think we need to define exactly what we want in that report and what we want that discussion to include, which we can on the next point. I think it's the next point.
Yeah.
So-
Councillor Lee?
So, I mean, shall I know it's time to bring it up, but I just, having gone through I wasn't able to come to the physical meeting, but having gone through the recording of it and the minutes and the answers to the questions, there were a lot of suggestions and actions in there for things that the local authority could do. So that there was a lot of, I think, quite righteous anger about South West Water. And about the national policy picture and the national funding picture. And, whereas some of us may agree with that, there's nothing that we as a council can do about that. But there was a lot of stuff that I think would feed into the new local plan very well. So things like water catchment area management and the sort of whole nature-based solutions thing, which is similar to the biodiversity offsetting that we as a council and Torridge pioneered in this country. And should we be looking at some sort of offsetting thing to deal with problems upstream, which is where a lot of the issues come from, down to really tiny little things like there's nothing in our development management policies about water runoff. So when people apply for planning permission or consent to pave over their gardens for car parking, and we just say, yeah, as long as you do it in
Grammable, yeah.
So can you tell the difference between a permeable paved drive and not? And there's nothing, we haven't got any, there's nothing that reinforces that. So there's a whole load of stuff in there. And I think if somebody from planning is coming along, it would be really useful for them to go through the video of the thing and the really comprehensive minutes and the answers, and just pick out the stuff in there that they think that we as a district council can act on, because there's a lot in there that I think would make a difference. And if you know, and well, it's a bit later on, isn't it, where we ask development management to the development manager to come and talk to us, but it's planning policy, which is a different department, isn't it? So
Yeah.
they need to
That's
do it
right.
as well, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we could send the planning manager the notes of the meeting.
I've got those, yeah.
If she hasn't
Yeah.
already seen them, we could send them to the planning
Yeah.
manager.
Well, do you want me to? I mean, I won't do it. I mean, I can't do it now because I love talking. But what I could do is write them all down and then send them over. The things you could have a look at, and there might be other stuff because we're just sort of lay councillors rather than experts that are in there. That they think, well, that's something we can pick up as a
Yeah.
council through.
Sorry, Chair, if you want to be that councillor leader and send it to me,
Yeah.
then I can pick that one for you. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What, is that okay with you? Yeah, fine,
Yeah.
thank you. Councillor Bushell?
Bushell's next, then.
Yeah, I think going along with Councillor Lever's comments there, and he would know better than me through his profession. But perhaps the ecological side of planning, rather than allowing South West Water to just ditch water into outflow into waterways. Councillor Lever will know very well the various methods of using nature to clean the water. So we could force reed beds, or I believe willow trees also will clean effluents out of water, which will stop it getting into the watercourses. It's something that we force farmers to do, make sure that effluent doesn't go straight into a watercourse. So why should South West Water be treated any other different, any other way than any other business, where they would have to find some way, either mechanically or organically, to purify the effluent before it can get to a watercourse.
Councillor
Yeah, at that joint meeting, and did anyone else go to it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. I you didn't you? Yeah, I mean, I seem to remember our head of planning was there. wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was there, for starters. And I think, did they do,
Was our head of planning there?
No,
No,
I think-
no,
no, I was there, she wasn't there.
Well, we certainly had somebody from planning.
Yeah, I
No,
thought
she
she was there.
wasn't.
No,
she wasn't.
wasn't
No,
because I specifically looked for someone because I was surprised because we were there as on the planning committee, but
not
there
many
was no
people there at all.
from the planning department there.
So was there a resume of what happened at the meeting, the presentation at South West Water? Did that get forwarded to us?
Yes.
It did, didn't it?
It was only the recording. It
It was a
wasn't
yeah.
minutes taken, it was just recording.
Yeah, so that could be available for everybody.
There's nobody chairing it from Torridge, and there's nobody taking minutes. Their planning policy officer was trying to make notes as she went through, but she was doing a lot of the talking, you see. So there's just a recording, like Councillor Maddox says, which has been sent around, it should to everyone.
Is it on YouTube?
I thought I could send it to
This is the
you.
Yeah.
YouTube one, is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, but I seem to remember it was sent round to them.
Yeah.
Send it to you, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they went into more detailed stuff.
They did, and they were very open,
There,
which is why I want to
Yeah.
see someone from the planning department. There's lots of questions I want to ask. For example, it's like, I see a lot of planning applications where they're putting in, soakaways on the plans, but they're not going in when they're built. So who is monitoring this?
well,
And there's-
that'd be building control, and that's,
Small bungalows that then turned into 3-story properties
Yeah.
with 6 bedrooms, that they aren't upgrading the systems that they're using to collect the water and where a lot of the properties in around us, they can't get to a sewage pipe, so they're putting them into the old type of cesspit thing. And I know some of them are leaking, and they're only like hundreds of meters away from a lake and a stream. So, and I want to understand why planning, when they get the planning application, how much they can go into the planning application of the policies of how this water is collected, whether it's permeable bricks that go down, whether they can make people then collect the rainwater to use in their systems as part of the planning, and if they can't, how do we progress and push that forward?
Feeling it's already been done.
Yeah, but it's not planning and building
What you're saying.
could,
Could I just
Go on,
say also,
together.
Councillor Mallett, is that I've had a reply to an email from the planning officer today, because it's regarding an enforcement issue in the village, in Brompton. And it's going to be at least a couple of months because of this, there's still a shortage of enforcement officers, so that doesn't help either.
but this through planning and building control, if they worked together, when there's a planning application and then building control, if they work together, they can monitor it as it's being done, not after it's been done and everything's covered over and they walk away, then it's sold on to whoever's bought it and the developer has washed his hands on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah.
So I think that what I picked up from it, I mean, in a way, it was sort of helpful not to be there and to watch it and read about it rather than be in the middle of it. But what I picked up from it was that there is a lot in there that where we as a council can lobby for changes in regulations
They were asking
and changes in the law. But I mean, the thing that Councillor Madden brought up, for example, I mean, South West Water was saying that a few years ago, there was an embargo on new development connecting to the sewage network. But what both local authorities did was give planning permission for development septic tanks, because that's the alternative, and that's permitted in planning law. So that's what they did. And when the embargo was lifted, because the sewage, there's work done for sewage treatment works, of course, all of those properties, or a lot of those properties are septic tanks, then just connected to the sewer network, and put a greater load on it than was expected. So, I mean, those sort of things, can be dealt with through lobbying. There's a process that one goes through when applying for planning consent, like how you deal with surface water and how you deal with sewage, with foul water. But it does permit at the end of that process for you to put surface water into the sewers, or for you to put foul water into a cesspit. So I mean, those are things that are permitted, and we can never change that. And if we refuse planning permission on the basis of that, then we would lose an appeal.
But that's where we've got to then lobby.
That's where we lobby, yeah.
Yeah.
But as I say, there's stuff that we can do to tighten up, I think, our local plan in terms of these issues.
That was coming back to the local plan. That was one of the things that the South West Water brought up. They're not consultees, but they're asked about whether that development will be able to put into the sewage system, and the sewage system can take it, but they cannot make a decision of whether that would happen within the period of consultation. So what they do is they look at the local plan and then they decide, oh, they might be building there, they might be building there. And so then that system should be able to take it. But at the moment, they know that the system cannot take what's there already.
Yeah.
And then we've had the government with a 5-year plan, all these homes building into a system that can't work. So it's down to lobbying really to change the planning process so it's more monitored more, but also to help with the water, how the water's sourced.
Actually, Jones.
Because there's so many aspects to what we might want to ask the planners. Because the other point was just getting an understanding of what is currently actually being discussed at these meetings with South West Water, and what information is currently being looked at. Officer Triggs was quite clear that that's definitely somewhere we should be looking at. These meetings are happening, but what information is actually being shared? Can I propose, to make sure we get this right, as we've done already several times in this group, is that we can have the option to break away and maybe have a call outside this meeting next week, just to work out exactly what we want to include on that list of points that goes to the planning officer to come back and report on, because I think we could literally discuss it for an hour now. But if there's 7 people here that've got ideas, we just need to maybe a lunchtime meeting with evening
Have an
meeting.
informal thing just about that particular subject.
Just a quick, a Zoom call, Teams call, jump on
You
it.
need the whole committee or just your group for the.
Well, I'm happy to drive it as the sub-chair of that group last time, but as I said to several of you on the phone, I'm not holding on to that. I want everyone to get involved and drive it and make stuff happen and get this to happen. But what I'm proposing is doesn't necessarily need to involve you. A group of us can have a separate meeting over the evening or over lunchtime, over Teams, to just quickly define that list of stuff and send that back to you. So that we
So
just,
is this for when the planning
yeah,
development manager
Yes.
comes to the meeting in May?
yeah,
Yeah, that's.
just so
fine.
it's really clear.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, so if that's something that you're
Yeah.
happy to do,
We
Yeah,
can-
okay.
and then
That'd be
feed that
fine.
back.
If I do my little list, just to kick things off.
Yeah.
And then that's something to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, then we can,
Yeah, sorry.
whoever wants to join that, I'll send an email, out. Whoever wants to join that, we can then just get a date and diary and jump on with that call.
Seems a sensible way forward. Yeah. That's it, Bushel.
Yeah, I'd like to just add some talking points to that, because Councillor Maddox is quite right. There are holes in the system. But if we're going to say that building control needs to talk to planning, we also need to try and find a mechanism where all of the private building control companies also feed back through.
That's good. Yeah.
And the other point that sort of galls me is Councillor Maddox said, well, South West Water say that the infrastructure isn't enough and there's nothing they can do about it. But the elephant in the room is if they give out, as they did last year, more dividends than they made in profit, of course, the infrastructure isn't going to be enough. And perhaps they're making questionable decisions with regard to the view of their company from the people of the area, possibly more in favour of their shareholders. Well, I've got nothing against dividends being given out, but it shouldn't be at the detriment of the service that they provide. They have a disclosable pecuniary interest in every single house which is connected into their system. And with all the new houses, one would have thought that they should have an additional cash flow, which rather than prioritising dividends, they prioritise serving their customers, which would be sensible for any normal capitalist business. And I don't understand why or how they're allowed to give out more dividends than they make in profit, because they're actually becoming a loss-making entity purely because of the dividends they're giving out. If the infrastructure needs money spending on it, well, do that to increase your future potential earnings and profit. And I think that needs to be discussed because it's not common sense thinking, and I don't know how they're allowed to do that. It doesn't seem right to me.
That's another.
And I totally understand what you're saying there, and that was one of my things was, first of all, the water should never have been prioritised, but what I've learned from this is that the companies that give out dividends, their share price stays higher. That allows them to borrow from shareholders, and that's what they do on different things. The water companies that are really struggling around the country are ones that aren't paying the shareholders. Their share price comes down and then they go close to bankruptcy. So it's a way that these businesses get their money in to make, so I would like stop it tomorrow, but it's the only way. If South West Water didn't pay their shareholders, we'd be in a worse state than we are now, which is a sad fact.
Well, there would be a reset in the value of the shares, for sure. But then the shareholders will come back because actually the shares costing less makes a better
So
investment.
then they're not getting investment from that share. Yeah.
Councillor Warden's got it.
Yeah, we are discussing, the whole thing tonight, which, if we're going to have a meeting next week, I think we can do it then rather than continue with it now. But what I'm not clear about is what we're doing with regard to Torridge. Are we still going to invite Torridge to a meeting if we're having one next week and then one in May? What are we actually doing? I'm a little bit lost on the procedure of what we've decided that we're going to do.
Well, I think it depends how much we want this subject to take up this committee is probably something that the committee and the chair needs to decide. But, I was being ambitious in proposing that we will discuss the planning aspect in the next meeting. And then my hope was that in another meeting would be that discussion with Torridge.
Okay.
But I'm conscious that that does mean taking up,
We've got quite a bit now on our programme, haven't we?
but it doesn't have to be the whole meeting, it can be part of the meeting.
So there might be other, if I could jump in again, there might be other issues that it would be useful to talk to Torridge members at the same time,
Yeah, not just planning.
not just this particular issue.
Yeah.
So should that be a separate meeting in a different? That's
That's really what I'm asking. What are we doing?
Through the chair, could we allow councillor Jones the flexibility to discuss with, I guess he's got names of the councillors who came to our meeting, and try and understand what we can gain and what they feel would be productive for that meeting. He seems to be very dedicated to this cause, and I'm sure we can trust that he would gain the right insight.
Yeah. You already discussed this.
No, I haven't got that details, but it wouldn't take me very long to find out. But maybe the resolve to this challenge would be to encourage them to invite us to theirs, and we're perhaps using their if they've already got meetings planned. I think, if we're all happy as a group that we are, it's a subject that.
Councillor Jones, they haven't been very forthcoming, have they? Because we have reached out to them.
Councillor Jones can be very persuasive though.
I think it's helpful to have that. I think what we're saying is that there's a whole list of things that we're proposing that we've got stuck on point one here. So maybe we need to quickly rattle through those points, discuss which of those we're happy with, which of those we want to prioritise, and maybe others will have other ideas they want to add onto that list. So maybe the right route is to quickly go through it really quickly rather than stop, because we could talk for an hour on every single point.
I agree. I mean, the point is that with the new local plan being developed, it's important that we talk about this issue, but there may be several others that we want to bring up at the same time.
Well, that's true.
Councillor Warden has the experience of knowing perhaps where some of these discussions could be moved to other places or to other committees, that we're still getting the same impact, but maybe even more impact by discussing them at other points, perhaps through that development of the plan for some of these points.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll move on, members. We may have to come back to that subject at the end.
Are we going to go through, because there was a list of other points?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On the back of the agenda you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. The next one is about a notice of motion to be considered by full council, requesting that North Devon Council support the work of the West Country Rivers Trust in both a proactive, promotional and, if possible, financial capacity.
I'm happy to propose that as wrote there, with the input of councillor Jones, that this goes ahead. If I have a seconder, thanks to me.
Are you happy to do that, councillor Jones?
I again, if I may, I think it needs a bit more thought. What we did at the last meeting is we put together some points, but I don't think we're ready to actually move a motion. I think we've outlined what we'd like to achieve, but we actually need to go ahead and put together one motion.
What I suspect would happen at full council is it would be pushed onto strategy and resources. If
Yes,
it's
that's what you should do.
financial
That's the way it should go.
contribution. So if is there a way of just sending it to strategy and resources to look at what sort of financial contribution we'd be looking at and what the money would be used for?
Because the next point is within it as well. It's,
Yeah.
because members were keen to support and invest in water testing, so that's part of it really, isn't it?
So what's apparent is several of us are already taking the journey of water testing, but, so they have. So we're not able to get the test kits out fast enough. Southwest Water at the meeting did raise that they would support, they would offer financial support as well, specifically. And that we again, but that would what we'd probably is that goes to the West Country River Trust, but it's potentially ring-marked for North Devon projects. Or North Devon buys kits and distributes them, but we still go through the West Country River Trust scheme. Again, this all needs discussions and planning and organising.
I thought we need to know how many noughts on the end of the figure that we're looking at.
Yeah, I was just wishing conversations away from that as well.
There was another query in there that somebody was going to find out whether they were eligible to apply for community natural grants.
I think that would be a very quick solution to try and get
Yeah.
a number of these testing
Kits.
kits from councillors.
I don't know who was going to, somebody was going to find out.
Councillor Jones, didn't you tell us how much they were each? And
Well, they're 40 pounds each.
40.
yeah.
If we're, again, jumping in, but if we're going to do that, we need to do it quickly because,
They're open now.
they're open and loads are applying already.
I know.
I think we've been advertising it better this year than perhaps we've ever done before, that
They're pretty
grants
grateful
are up.
now.
And loads of people have been waiting for the opportunity and getting in there quick.
Of course, there are some councils, some parish councils, which have a budgeted grant pot.
Yeah.
Our ward being one of those, and I think this is a key topic. So perhaps somebody from the subcommittee could pitch to those councils who do have, allotted grant funds.
People also have got grants out at the moment that might be able to be used from an individual.
For the community council grant, though, it would be down to the trust to apply, speaking to our member services.
I think that the easiest solution here is to probably open that I can open that conversation with Southwest Water, see if they're going to basically get a checkbook out. I'm slightly uncomfortable doing it in the same sense if they're offering to support it, if we can then access some funding that can either come to us or to the Rivers Trust, we can then we can facilitate this without very quickly and very easily without any of these other complexities. I think I just need to send an email. So
I did ask him at the meeting at Torridge, and he didn't say no.
He said, yeah, clearly to me that they would give some money to us to support this. And I did go back to West Country Rivers Trust, who were really excited at the meeting. We basically said, we're really happy to support you, but you're being very proactive and you're going to eat our resource, which we need to address. So I think I can go and look into that. The first things first, financially, I can go speak to the Southwest Water, but and I think we can then prepare. All we're requesting is, I think what we're requesting is that the social, and rather than a full motion council, what we're requesting is that our social media team promotes the project. So as a council, we support it, and the social media team promotes the citizen science project in our area. I don't think we need any motion. I think we can just make that recommendation, I assume, to the communications team.
Yes, in terms of social media support,
Right, well, madam.
would be fine. Obviously, in terms of the council's budget, we've certainly set that. There was no provision within there for a grant.
So can I propose that we request that the, media team looks to regularly promote, our support for the West Country Rivers Trust? Is it as simple as that?
I've just got a question really. I seem to remember at the meeting, there was some discussion amongst them, the Centre for Water, that there's a divergence of different ways of testing and different ways of analysis. And they don't all agree together. And that they reckon some methods of testing aren't really worth doing because of the way the analysis is done. It really doesn't give any answer.
Like testing above the outflow.
The test that we're doing is really, really basic, but it's already indicating things and problems in the little dot that we're picking up. But I think that other catchment, Councillor Wilson's catchment has its own challenges, and to be able to monitor that, we could benefit from additional equipment. And if we can get some funding, we could perhaps buy some more of this fancy kit that we could share, so that rather than doing a monthly or a fortnightly test, every 6 months, we could then be doing something more advanced across the catchments, and this could be shared amongst the teams.
The seed testing kit's 15,000.
It depends what the testing.
Well, we have got a testing, Northern Council's got a testing kit according to the Harbour Master that they've been used to test Ilfracombe Harbour. Assumed it's not a £15,000 one, but I'm trying to find out where that is, who uses it,
So
why can't it be used anywhere else?
have you spoken to George about it?
Not in detail.
So can we request a letter from this committee to the harbour master to request our knowledge of this, and if she'd be, what it is, and whether we would be able to have access and use it?
Or should we direct our question to one of our officers? Because it's come from council, hasn't it, this initiative, testing in the
The
harbour.
harbour
Harbour
master.
Master, so that's-
Should it to the Harbour Board?
The harbour board.
You are the harbour master.
Yeah.
No, the Harbour Master is, no, I was gonna say the Harbour Master
You
is.
said
The Harbour Master would know the answer.
solar testing, that's what they're saying, aren't they?
The Harbour Master said that they've got kits that they use to test seawater in the harbour.
She has.
So
Oh, I
I
thought you said the council.
The harbour authority.
well, the Harbour Master, I'm assuming, was purchased by Northern Council because it's part of
It's our
our
harbour.
remit and it's our harbour, yeah.
Councillor Mathers,
Well,
sorry, Adam.
Georgian Parish is looking at getting one at the moment with support from Ruda Holiday Park and that. So there's a possibility within the next 12 months that we will have one, and we were talking about maybe using it, allowing other areas to be able to use it.
Or rent it.
Yeah. But it's,
Yeah, so well, I was going to say, rather than a letter, I mean, myself or Kelly will just make inquiries and find out if the council do have a more testing kit, we can confirm.
Just send a simple email to the.
That is-
We want to know specifically what it is as well.
Yeah, what it is and can it be used, yeah, we can find that out.
What type of kit, testing kit it is,
Yes,
find that out, I've got,
Yes.
send an email to
Okay.
George.
Right.
So basically you're quite happy there's different methods of testing and different methods of analysis.
The challenge is but analysing the challenge depends on what the pollution source is. So the basic kits that we're doing will give us an indication of sedimentation issues, which is a big issue, and the phosphates test will give indications of pollution. And then using those basics, the Environment Agency can then be notified. So on the Little Dart yesterday, there was a serious sediment issue where one of the streams was flowing completely chocolate. So the Environment Agency has had that reported to them. They will hopefully come and test within a few days, hopefully, and they don't have all the kit. So what the whole point is, it's citizen science. We're just trying to, you can't give everybody a really fancy bit of kit. So the whole point is, and it takes 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, and that's the beauty of it. But if you've got pollution, for example, from chemicals, then you need a whole nother test kit. We think that could be an issue in some of our catchments.
And that's what I'm saying, it's the pollution issue, isn't it? Runoff is not the only to the silt in it, it's the pollution issue, it's what's contained within that silt. If we don't analyse that, it's pointless doing it.
That has to be sent away to be
That's
analysed.
what I mean.
They only test first.
There's no central.
Well, I would argue it's not pointless,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
sediment, for example, is very damaging to, you know, aquatic life. So you can pick that up, you can observe it and you can measure it. I mean, other things which we can't measure, like metals, which last, you know, forever, chemicals, no, we can't measure those. But you can pick up things like runoff, you can pick up, you know, you can pick up the indicator, like sending the canary in the cage down the mine. It's like something at least has been done to indicate something's not right.
And then the
Exactly.
Environment Agency can use their expertise on
As
it.
you put, I don't want to boost my position, but I should add that my undergraduate studies were in exactly the subject. Hydrology and water monitoring and water resource management was the name of the course. But so the basics, just the very, very basics can give us an indication. But if we can get hold of more advanced equipment and then use it in areas where we think we need it, we can then add to the picture. But it's the Environment Agency that has all the kit. We just need to be flagging the issues to them. But let's find out what we have.
So the Environment Agency is on board with this project, are they?
So they will respond to reports, yes.
All of it, they all use the Environment Agency, don't they? That's what we found out at the meeting. You know, Surfers Against Sewage and the biosphere, and they all use that one department for all their
Which is.
So
data.
they're the responsible organisation, yeah.
But they're very under
That
resourced.
was the start.
But then if there's the demand from scientific testing, then they have then the mechanisms to say we need greater resource for this. There is a large problem. I think nationally, following our meeting, it seems to have been picked up that water quality is a massive issue across the country. And I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I would like to think that meeting and the news coverage it got is highlighting issues that we're having, because we don't have the same situation where we used to, where the NRA would go out and specifically, you know, go out and spend a day in each river, checking the fish, weighing the fish. We used to have a resource that was managing our waterways. And I think since 2010, certainly, there have been budget cuts, and the focus needs to be taken back into the damage which is doing the greater damage, because it's not just water quality, it's all of the ecology around that, which isn't just limited to waterways or to the sea.
I mean, they are actually still doing that testing in my ward, even though the rivers are coming off Exmoor, in my ward.
I don't think they're doing it to the same degree since they were.
I think we need to sort of.
Anyway, carry on.
List
They've
and just, but the next point was, well, we've run through all the points regarding the Rivers Trust, et cetera, really.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Kelly just to say, what have we actually decided to do? We're going to ask whether they're eligible for a grant, a community councillor grant, aren't we?
I think I said,
Just.
do we
let's
hold
get
off
it
all
through.
that, and I will reach out to South West Water and see if they're willing to support us first.
Right,
'Cause
right,
if they're gonna give us X £1,000 a year,
yeah.
then we don't need to worry about anything else. do we?
I think that the questions could be asked as to whether they're eligible. I think that would be fair, just as researchers, doesn't mean we're gonna fire the gun at it.
Yeah.
But it would mean we're more prepared at the next meeting.
It'd be useful to know,
Yeah.
in case it's needed, yeah.
So on that, if I can jump in again,
Yeah.
who would actually know the answer to that?
I can find out for you within our team.
Yeah,
There's two
it's really the Kelly's
Two
team.
officers who manage the grant process, and I can get that information.
It's Kate and Oriana.
Kate.
It's Kate, isn't it?
Yeah,
And Oriana.
and we had
Yeah.
spoken, so I can speak to them,
Thank you,
and
Kelly.
they can determine that, and I can, you know.
But what I was conscious of, that Councillor Jones is taking on an awful lot. And we need to actually use our officers as well, to try and do things.
Councillor Jones, you also mentioned a press release. We did one following the meeting.
So it's basically the communications team to regularly promote the activities of West Country Rivers Trust
Through social media,
through social media, yeah.
yes.
Okay, members?
I think it's worth adding that there was a press release that, a press release went out, so
Yes.
thank you to Alison, I think it was on the call, who
Yes.
did do a press release and did an article on it,
Yes.
which had,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay. So, the next point on here is requesting a report from the development manager to ascertain the impact that South West Water have on planning application process. For that, we will do our teams meeting and pull all that together in advance of the main meeting, I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then it goes back to be resolved, joint meeting with Torridge District Council. Well, we're going to put that on the back burner for now. We're not quite at that stage, really.
Do we need to find out what if they're keen?
I think that
Yeah.
councillor Jones was going to try and contact some of the councillors who he knew were interested. And then,
Just wait and see, if you're able to do that.
Well, I think is it better that we, taking the point that Councillor Ward picked up earlier, it's probably better we go through the official channels on it and see what comes back. So that they be interested in having a meeting with us to discuss it? Don't propose a date, leave it open and see what they come back and say. Does that make sense?
I think.
And who did we contact last time? It's, your
My counterpart, I can do
Your
that.
counterpart, wasn't it?
I can send another email,
Yeah,
and perhaps put the head of service in the email as well, and see if it gets picked up that way.
You can express that they showed an interest in wanting to have a conversation at the meeting, those that attended.
yeah, they were keen, weren't they? And it, that's right, West Country Rivers Trust, potentially through funding, but I think as Adam says,
We'll
we've
look,
done
Oh.
our council budget now, so, yeah. I don't think there's much chance for that. No. Although we can support them through social media.
yes. We'll try and get the money from South West Water.
Yeah, okay, right. And then we have to, that all stakeholders be invited to a special meeting in, say, 6 to 12 months. I think 6 months is a bit quick myself, but to keep the channel of discussions open and under regular review.
Can I propose that we can push that back? See, we've outlined a lot of work.
Yes, we are.
And then we can see where we get to with that work, and then in the
Yeah.
future we can propose it, or how we want to move forward, if we need another meeting. I'm sure there's gonna be meetings, time for meetings, so I think there's the desire, we need to go back to the public to demonstrate, because they were very, very clear at that meeting, they wanted us to take action, it couldn't just be a talking shop. We need to make sure we go back to the community and demonstrate that we've taken action, and hopefully that we can make a difference.
Yeah.
But we can perhaps discuss that in future meetings, how we wish to do that.
And one other thing I just thought of, we had the training day in Braunton and there was talk of a follow-up.
Yeah.
Is that still going to be something that we could facilitate or in some way encourage or,
Some people would
Publicise.
quite like a refresher.
have we got new people that might want to come on board?
Actually, yeah.
Extend what's happening?
So I've had those discussions. I need to get in touch and have another discussion with Lawrence at the Rivers Trust.
He's on his own, isn't he?
Well, no, that's the chief executive who was with us, who was really keen to support us. But
Yeah,
the guy that did our training has left,
yes,
and I'm not sure if he's been replaced. So I've got a big list of people that want to do more training,
yes.
but we've also got a list of people that still haven't received kits from the previous training. So half the people in our group still haven't received kits,
Really?
which is why so I think they are really keen, but what they expressed at that meeting was people that would be happy to support this, I would be very happy to give my time to go and do some training sessions and to actually train people and support them with this. If we can find the money to buy the kits from South West Water, then we can work with the Rivers Trust, hopefully to potentially deliver some training sessions in North Devon, and perhaps we might need some help to pay to rent a venue, but we can find a way around that, I'm sure. And potentially we could deliver it if they're not in a position to support it.
The one in Braunton, did the countryside send to charge them?
I've no idea.
Can we find out
They
if there's
got
an issue
charged.
with the kits before we set up a whole lot? Well, you might be anticipating getting a kit, and then if is there an actual issue with supply of them other than just an admin? Do you know why?
Why are they not, why are people not getting their kits?
Because there's nobody running this trust, because the guy left.
So are we gonna overwhelm them?
We've overwhelmed, we've broken it.
So we're gonna,
Probably.
So now we've got to find a way of solving the,
so how can we, yeah.
That's
Actually, more capacity their way isn't gonna help them then at the moment.
no. So that's why we're saying if we can buy the kits, potentially we can manage that as council. If we can physically buy them and then somebody can put on some training. It doesn't have to be through the council. I can do that myself
You can do it
as a
online.
volunteer.
Yeah.
But if we can somehow get some money to buy some kits and we can hand them out and train people, they're the only bottlenecks. The most clever part is the database, which is provided by West Country Rivers Trust, where we load this information on our phones. And that's the bit that they provide. And I think they're really happy to, I think that they are very happy to support this. We just need to find, some money, to be honest. Which I think we can.
How much do you think would be, what would you want?
I don't know, 5 grand, 10 grand, something like
Okay.
I mean, do you know how many water courses you want to monitor?
that. I have a rough idea, yes.
Yeah. And
It's,
then we
it's vast.
multiply that by 40.
I think
You
you,
do Torridge, because that's the worst in the whole country, isn't it?
we trained 30 last time, just on the Little Dart alone. You can have 10 people, and that's just one tributary of the Tor. So then, if you combine Tor and Torridge, it could be endless. It could be endless. I think the thing to do is get some money, spend the money, see how many people we train up, and then just keep going until we've covered the area. But and have a bit of a plan about how many picks and key target
So
areas,
on
which they
on
have.
the river course, how many testing stations would you have?
It depends, because you need to strategically have them placed after feeder streams. So to test feeder streams coming in, and then also to test sewage works. So on one small water course, so the start, I think you could have as many as 10 or 15 people on one small stream.
And that's on
But-
midstream.
Upland requires more resources, you've got more streams coming in. But the West Countries Rivers Trust, they have this data and they've already got a map of where they want people. So they've already outlined
That's what I was asking.
and they've already provided part of that to me for some catchments, but they can provide that for more catchments.
Could that go out on the social media? You know, we are looking for testers in this area, if they've already identified where.
Yes,
Well, yeah.
we just did that ourselves last time. It blew up really quickly, didn't it? Just very, very, at a very, very low level. So, there's no issue in finding the volunteers. You need to find locations that anyone can access. If the volunteer drops out, then kit just goes to the next volunteer and they can go to that location. So the bottleneck at the moment is testing kits and training.
Yeah.
So if we can assist in overcoming that, then we can proceed.
But it is the finance side of it, really.
I don't think I'm sure we can find some. And the thing that's different on this occasion is that South West Water are offering to help us fund it. So I think it would be hard to justify using council money for that to some degree, while we've got resources which are so underfunded that we really need to encourage that to come from ideally South West Water. But I'm very around the circle.
Okay.
How are you going to go about that then?
I'll take that on. So I'll contact South West Water.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great, thank you for that. Okay. And just going back to the main meeting, about the planning things, we will deal with that online. We're going to have Teams meeting next week. Okay. Right. So you will send that out to all, and then
Yeah, I think
whoever's
that
interested.
put on together. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on that, on this subject? Leaving the water now?
Is there any more points that we covered them on?
I think we have.
Just gonna say, Chair, the lobbying was mentioned a couple of times. I don't know
Yeah.
whether the committee
Well, I
will
wrote-
formally
I
resolve.
wrote that down, that word lobbying, and I don't know how we go about
Is
the
that something
lobbying.
you would do after you've gone through the process of what you plan to do? And you know what
They've got to know what you're lobbying for.
you've got to know what you want to lobby for, so.
Yeah,
that's
like what.
They wanted us to, didn't they? They sort of requested that we. Absolutely.
I mean, so again, there's an awful lot of good stuff in the minutes
Hmm.
and the answers that we received and stuff I've said on the night. And I think it's a separate job. It's similar to the one that we're having on plan. It's a separate job to look through that and to look at where are the areas where change in government regulation, government policy and funding are required. And some of them are really glaringly obvious and have been talked about tonight.
Mm.
And others, like changes to the way the sequential test for dealing with surface water, the sequential test for dealing with sewage, whether those regulations are applied, would have a fantastic impact in terms of water quality. But it's something that we can't deal with it through our planning system because our hands are tied by national regulation, and it's not a big political thing, you know. But I, rather than just sitting here and having another hour discussion, again, I think it's worth perhaps asking officers to go through the stuff that's down there already and to look at the areas where our hands are tied by national policy and national regulation, and then to come back with issues that we can't resolve but need resolving in order to improve water quality in North Devon.
Which officers would we?
I don't know, take pick.
I mean, which?
Well, we've got two here.
Yeah. President Bushen.
I think it was very clear at that meeting that one thing we could lobby for is to stop the dumping of raw sewage straight into waterways. And we know we can manage it by saying, have a reed bed lagoon. So then dropping the water into there, so it's just not firing straight into the sea. And that is definitely national policy.
I absolutely don't want to let South West Water off the hook, but I really don't think it's that straightforward.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think you've got to start at the top of the water catchment areas, and you've got to work all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the things like using reed beds for managing sewage. That's if you do your sequential test for managing sewage, that's a little way down the line. It's not the first thing that's looked at when you do the test. Can you deal with this sewage on site? Is not number one. And having reed bed lagoons to deal with everything that ends up at the pumping station at Ashford is just, that's not feasible. It's got to be dealt with up the line, and that requires changes to national regulation and national legislation. And it's not something that's big and exciting, but it's those small changes that really will make a difference. And I think we need to look at the bigger picture and then put a comprehensive case, because I mean we're one of the local authorities in the country that deals with everybody else's muck as it comes down and reaches the coast. All of us who are coastal authorities deal with this. Every other authority, they've got the same problems, but it's pushed on across the borders to the next one. It's those of us who are on the coast who are dealing with this. And I think that we need to look at the whole lot. We can't just, I don't think if we pick and choose, we can get anywhere.
Through the chair, I do,
Sorry.
may I come back?
I'll bring you in.
Because it was important to mine. That I do think that the national policy of allowing water authorities to dump outflow straight into the sea could be something we could directly lobby.
But the problem is if they don't do that, it backfills and then
Sorry,
it comes
Richard,
back for your
free
toilets.
for all here, and it's, we've spent an hour on this.
If I can bring us,
And then I want to ask Adam a question. Got Councillor Jones, and then
the point you raise is an interesting one, but it's not as, it's, the water companies are not releasing, the problem is not sewage, the problem is surface water. And the point that's being raised here is if we can manage surface water, which we can, because that comes into policy, then actually, if we reduce surface water, then we can reduce sewage being released because you don't have the surface water coming in. So there is ways that if we look at this top level, there are ways that we can try and make an impact. But what I just want to say there, a big thank you to everyone on this, because I think it's really personal to me, and clearly it's something that really matters to everyone and also to the community. And I think it's a big step that we are putting the resource and time into trying to make a difference. I think we all have to commit to actually trying to come up with some policy that can actually try and make a difference on this.
I mean, it's a major thing like that, isn't it? It's absolutely topical.
What we're saying is there's something procedurally wrong with having combined sewers. And we need to.
This water service.
Could I suggest, Madam Chairman, that this is an issue which we can't really debate properly tonight regarding lobbying. But if we're having an informal meeting next week, this if Councillor Lever's points could be disseminated before then, I don't know whether it's possible.
Councillor Lever, yeah, thank you. But Councillor Lever is suggesting that an officer reads through the transcript of the meeting and brings all these points forward and helps us on our lobbying.
But we're going to define
I
what,
can't see who we can get to do that.
We've got the development manager come into the next meeting, haven't we, to discuss it. So again, it might be something that she can add to and have some ideas.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can ask.
But
It's not fun.
I still think, Madam Chairman, that if we're having an informal Teams meeting,
Yeah.
we can probably go into some of these areas. At that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. So I think we've finished on that, members. All right,
We could just move that, all the stuff you've.
Yeah.
Just so we've got it.
yeah.
I've written it all down.
I propose everything we discussed.
Thank you.
Second.
Is everyone clear?
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for that. Thank you. We now move on to our work programme, which you have at the back of your agendas. Any comments? Do you want to go through them quickly? Everyone happy? I think the agricultural one is moving ahead with
Yeah,
invites,
that's good.
invites going out.
They're all happy with the 23rd, are they?
I'm waiting for a response from the North Valley Farmers representative. The councillor official gave me this afternoon. I did try to call, but he's out of the office till Monday, so I've sent an email, which I've copied you into, and yourself, councillor.
Yeah, so I just read it, yeah.
So hopefully it will be the 23rd.
But all the rest are quite happy to. Yeah, that's good.
And I've secured the room at Petrol as well.
Thank you, Kelly, for that. Are you just happy to note the our work programme members? Are you anything on there you want to discuss? Oops. I think everyone's trying to find it on there.
I've got it reading through it.
Is this still a draft? It's a live document, isn't it?
It is.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, isn't it, Kelly?
Yeah, it will change,
Yeah.
it can change at any
You
time.
just got to have.
Just have a schedule so we know at least what we're planning to discuss,
Yeah.
and then it gets added and moved as and when. Obviously, the financial things,
Intentions.
yeah, the financial things are on there that you deal with as a matter of course as a committee, and then anything else that we want to look at. Just, it's a rolling document.
Do we want to have something in for building control so we can pick up on some of Councillor Maddox's points?
I'm recently appointed to the Building Control Committee. I can.
Nice for you.
I'm lovely, I'm really looking forward to it. I think the building regulations are very much set by central government and there's very, very little, if any, local leeway in the way that they're interpreted.
I was thinking more about the communication between planning and the.
I think yeah, I mean, I can bring that up at the Building Control Committee rather than having because I saw how much work it was to set the water thing up, rather than going through that whole process on that, where I think there's not so much leeway.
And it is something that was suggested and we are working towards it during our last term. So it is a direction of the council and their wishes. So we just need to, I think, just follow it up.
Councillor Ward.
Communications, talking about potholes, bus services, trains and all the rest of it. I actually see that in the work programme, or maybe I've missed it.
I've seen it somewhere.
I believe I agreed, I said I had to take that forward. If anyone else wants to volunteer.
I thought it was, yeah, it was definitely on there.
I've seen it somewhere.
It's not on there, but I do remember
Yeah.
breaking it up.
I know we've got not on there, if we can only do so.
I'll check the minutes, just bear with me. Discussed last time.
We did say that we would bring it up in October. We would aim for an October meeting to look at it, if I recall.
So the transport's March 2025.
Yeah.
That's scheduled for, and we've got the health inequality and GP surgeries either for September or October this year.
So we do have quite a list, so.
We can be quite busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that it's not.
I'll add that to the work. I'll add that to the work.
Yeah, thank you.
Kelly will do that. That's great. Thank you, Kelly.
I like the 10-year capital strategy for up to 35. That'll take us a minute or two, won't it?
I'm sure it's Adam, I'm sure will be in charge of that one.
That is one of my.
Well done. We're gonna go right down into the nuts and bolts of that.
I should read that.
Day by day, you want to report that how it looks.
If you want a formal proposition, then I'm happy to do that with the addition of the, transport communications thing.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's have with that. Yeah, right. Thank you all for coming and
No, we were all just voting.
and I formally close the meeting. Thank you very much.